decided that rather than talk all the numbers, I just want to tell the story, 2 anecdotes. I was in college, and actually started in high school with part-time jobs, but I put myself through college, and I worked in factories, and I worked everywhere else. And in April and May, when you went looking for a job, I'd pick up the paper and very clearly marked were jobs for men and jobs for women. And never the two could meet. And you could not have one of the jobs that was under the male column, but I wanted it because they got paid more. And so by the time August came around, my friends that were male had a lot more money saved for college than I did. We showed up at work, we both worked hard, but they had more money for school at the end. And so I kept working, going to school, and they had enough money saved from the summer. Now, I think about those women that worked those kinds of jobs, and now they're my age, approaching retirement for them, and what do they have? Is it still the same? Are they still behind? The statistics say yes, they are. And so we'll talk more about that. But that's why we're sitting here, because we know we can do better. We know we have to do better. I was on the Education and Labor Committee when Lily Ledbetter came to our committee a few years ago and talked about how she had worked at a factory with men, the same job, and for many, many years, she thought they had the same job, they were getting the same pay. And then one day she got a note telling her what the others were making. And she went to talk about it, and the next thing she knew, she was out of a job. And they had a policy there that you couldn't say what your pay was. And if one coworker told another coworker what the pay was, they could get fired for that. And it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, that Congress had to change the law, and so we did. And President Obama signed it as his first piece of legislation. So we can make progress. We have made progress, but we know we have a long way to go. So today you'll hear from some absolutely wonderful legislators who will talk about how we're making progress and how we continue to stand up for women. Whether you are married, whether you're single, whether you have family members to care for, whether you're taking care of the old or the young, whatever your issues are, you know that you feel really the strain of too many things happening and not enough money to pay for what you must do. So that's what we're about. We're about economic fairness for women, because when women succeed, America succeeds. When women bring home a fair paycheck, it helps their children and it helps their local economy, because they bring the money to the local stores and they're able to purchase what they need and to provide for health care for their children, provide for child support or whatever they've got. They can do it, but they can't do it if their paychecks don't match their needs. So we're about fairness here, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have a leader in the House who has driven this agenda. And I said, when Rosa DeLauro shows up and she wants to talk, everybody listens, because Rosa is the spokesperson for women, for children, and for those who need an advocate in the House. Rosa DeLauro from Connecticut. I'm so honored that you're here, Rosa.
Thank you so much. I'm going to do this. Thank you very, very much. This is very exciting. Excuse me, gentlemen, but all these women in this room, it's about energy, and as all of us up here know, women are operational. They get things done. Thank you. Thanks so much. And to you, MaryAnn, thank you for the great work that you are doing, and for telling your story. For telling your story. That is, there are many, many, many more women head of households today. And so it is great courage. So I appreciate your moderating this effort and your work on behalf of women who are entrepreneurs, because they are at risk as well, because they get less dollars for capital to be able to start their business than men do. And to Carol Shea-Porter, you know, the Congress, you make a lot of acquaintances, but you make a few friends. You can count them. And Carol Shea-Porter is a dear friend. I said this earlier, this is why I'm here today. I came from Connecticut because I believe in her, and she has been a champion on the issues that we are talking about this morning. And whether it is the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, or Paycheck Fairness, or paid sick leave, family and medical leave, she is there, at the ready and at the mic in the well of the House to talk about them. And it's a great pleasure for me to meet your leaders, your representatives, and that is the Senate Minority Leader Sylvia Larsen, House Speaker Terie Norelli. I think this went off. No, it's still on. It's still on. This is extraordinary what's being done here in your State House with the passage in the Senate of Paycheck Fairness and what's happening in the House on minimum wage, two very, very critical issues to this women's economic agenda. So we're beginning to see movement all over the country in these areas, not because it's just a slogan, not because it is just, hey, look, I think we'll give it a flyer this month and talk about this. It is coming out of the actual need, the need that families in this country are facing, the economic needs that they're facing. And it's great for me. I don't know what's in the water in New Hampshire here when you've got woman governor, 2 women senators, 2 congresswomen, Chief Justice of the State Supreme Court, House Speaker Terie, Senate Minority Leader Sylvia. Yes! All right, New Hampshire. It is inspiring. I first introduced the Paycheck Fairness legislation to Congress in 1997. It has passed the House of Representatives twice. It came 2 votes shy of 60 in the Senate. If we had that at the last go-round, it would be the law of the land because the President was prepared to sign it. It is I just want to tell you, because I talked about strong women, and my own personal story is my mom is a garment worker. She worked in the old sweatshops in the city of New Haven. But she, in her career, went on to serve on the city council. And she served for 35 years, the longest serving member of the city council. And she is 100 years old, lives with us, and feisty as ever. I left her early this morning. I said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to New Hampshire. Why are you going to New Hampshire? I'm going to give a speech. And she said, all right, go get him. Which is really wild. And in our state, we passed a family and medical leave law in 1989. We were the first state to pass paid sick days in 2011. I say this, and I've talked about the women because, well, yes, numbers are important in terms of majority, but the bigger issue is when women are engaged in politics, it changes the agenda. And there are new voices are heard and new issues begin to bubble up. What we're doing in the House of Representatives, Carol and myself, and with the leadership of our leader, Nancy Pelosi, is moving forward in terms of this economic agenda for women. It was in 1963, 51 years ago, when John Kennedy passed the pay equity, signed the pay equity legislation. It called for paid maternity leave, increased access to affordable health care, passage of laws that would secure equal pay for equal work. 51 years ago. Half century later, we're still trying to get these things done. I think that what women honestly are tired of struggling. We've waited a very long time. And I think it's important to note the facts because, again, this is not just frivolous. Women are half the workforce. We're 2/3 of the primary or co-breadwinners in America. We enter the workforce at less pay. Primary caregiver for family and household, and there are few services to support women in this effort. Poverty rate for women is as high as it's ever been in 17 years. Women are more likely to be in public sector jobs that are being shed, poorly paid, quote, pink-collar service or caregiving occupations, less likely to have health care, less retirement security and pension protection. And again, gentlemen, I apologize, but we live longer. Women live longer than men, but they're often, at over 65 years of age, the highest proportion of people in poverty today are women who are over 65. More reliant on Social Security, receive lower payments. Male-owned businesses tend to receive 80% more capital in their first year. And men are more likely to receive external financing. 2 out of 3 workers making the minimum wage are women. 60% of those who have lost unemployment benefits are women. Women make 77 cents on the dollar. And for minority women, it is less. That is compared to men. New report by the Institute of Women's Policy Research this week shows that this has not budged in a decade. Unmarried women, those who are single, widowed, divorced, or separated, the fastest growing segment of women in America, are the most economically insecure. Extraordinary economic challenges. And many of you know those challenges and firsthand. So we have been so slow to pass policies that reflect what the modern day workforce is and what the modern day workplace is. So we're looking, what women are doing, looking for equal pay, increased wages, paid leave, child care, education and training opportunities, so that they can raise their income, they can support their families, and have a better quality of life. That's what it's about, a better quality of life for themselves and their families. And that's why Carol and I are fighting at the federal level for this agenda. I'll be very quick on this. You've got 3 fundamental pillars. This didn't come one day of us going into a closet and saying, okay, today I think we'll talk about a women's economic agenda. There is massive empirical data and conversations with women all over the country led us to these 3 pillars: equal pay, work-family balance, and expanding access to child care. And it's all backed up with legislation that already exists and that we can work out getting passed. And with regard to pay, again, paycheck fairness, simple, same job, men, women, same pay. That's all we're asking for here. Increase the minimum wage. Let's talk about more capital for women entrepreneurs. In addition to minimum wage, the training and educational opportunities for women are critical so that they can get into professions that pay more and, in fact, allow them a ladder for opportunity. Work-family balance, private sector workers, almost half of them do not have access to 1 paid sick day. And we remain the only advanced economy in the world without paid maternity leave. We've joined places like Papua New Guinea, Swaziland, and other areas. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand and I have introduced something called the Family Act, which would create a national paid leave insurance fund based on what's already law in California, New Jersey, Rhode Island. Healthy Families Act gives all families access to a week of paid sick days, and my colleague Carol Shea-Porter is right there as original co-sponsors of that legislation. Last pillar is expand access to child care. Quality care is very, very expensive. It can be as much as a mortgage. And if you can't get child care for your kids, then it's hard to get to work. What happens when they get sick? It really is a nightmare. It's a patchwork of what women and families are putting together in order to be able to take care of their kids. So we need child care tax credits to increase that. We need preschool, early childhood education, Head Start. So let me just conclude by telling you, if we're going to succeed, we need to ensure that women are getting equal pay. And I do want to close with 2 quotes from John Kennedy. This is a while ago, my friends, and we're still fighting on this issue. And I quote, when he signed the Equal Pay Act, "It is extremely important that adequate provision be made for reasonable levels of income for women, for the care of children which they must leave at home or who are in school, and for the protection of the family unit. And when he signed legislation announcing the Commission for the Status of Women, he said, "We do well not to be complacent about past progress. Undoubtedly, the ever-advancing frontier in our country helped to break down attitudes carried over from feudal days. But we have by no means done enough to streamline the family life and at the same time encourage women to make their full contribution as citizens." Let me just say that those words today are as true as they were when John Kennedy uttered them all those years ago. And this is what Carol and I at the federal level, it is what Terry and Sylvia are fighting for at the State House here, and that is to pass the legislation that reflects how families are living today and how women are living today, and help to make a difference in their economic lives so that they can succeed. And when women succeed, America succeeds. Thank you very much.